In January 2025, I was desperate. I kept trying to play video games, but nothing made me feel anything. Part of this emptiness had nothing to do with video games, but a lot of it did. After having a really deep emotional experience with Persona 3 Reload, Metaphor ReFantazio, and Yakuza Like a Dragon, I would sit down to play a game that I could intellectually understand was great, but it didn't make me feel anything. There was a hole in my chest that no game, no matter how me it was, could fill. The games were great, but it was something wrong with me. It turns out this feeling has a name. In a paper published in February 2026 in Current Psychology, Polish researchers refer to this feeling as post-game depression. This is not a clinical diagnosis, but rather a description of a phenomenon that happens to some gamers, especially those who play RPGs. And it does correlate with certain experiences of clinical depression. It is a phenomenon that can be characterized by continued rumination on the game, a feeling that the player doesn't want that game to be over, a desire to play the game again, and a feeling that no media will make the player feel the way the game has made them feel. But me? I just call this feeling the void. I felt the void at the end of December in Persona 3 Reload. The game begins in April 2009 in Iwatodai, a fictional location based on a very real area within Tokyo. The game has your character living in, exploring, and protecting Iwatodai and Tatsumi Port Island for 9 in-game months. You develop a routine both as a player and as a protagonist. You grow to understand the smallest corners of this place. You can tell when an NPC is new or just in a place they're usually not. Through most of the game, these changes are small and gradual. But as you approach January, there is a sudden shift in the narrative, and these environmental changes accelerate to match it. The colors are suddenly more muted. You see more NPCs standing wordless in public spaces, suffering from apathy syndrome. The streets are now littered with posters evangelizing a death cult. The music changes in a slight but noticeable way. It's more sinister, more upsetting. The game is using your familiarity with this place and the time that you've spent there to accentuate a narrative shift. It's not just telling you that the situation the characters are in is dire, it is showing you. Personas 4 and 5 pull the same trick in different ways, leveraging their lengthy runtimes and deep sense of place to affect how you feel about their settings. Persona 4's use of place and time is in some ways more narratively harmonious. That's a game that is explicitly about the character's relationship with the town of Inaba. When winter arrived and the town was just covered in snow, I finally understood the familiarity that I had built with Inaba and just how much I cared for this fictional place and the people that lived there. Persona 5's story largely depends on the public's perception of the Phantom Thieves, and as their reputation changes, NPC dialogue in Shibuya and in loading screens also changes. These shifts tell you not only how the people of Tokyo feel about the Phantom Thieves, but also about the emotional heartbeat of a living, changing city. And this is something the Trails series is built around, actually. After every cutscene or dungeon, or really anytime you do anything, each random NPC in the city has new dialogue. They each have their own stories that are responding to the world around them and the events of the narrative that you are driving forward as the player. Sometimes after 30 or 40 hours of watching an NPC's life run parallel to yours, you'll see that they've posted a request for help, which is how you get side quests in the Trails games. A relationship you've watched break down over dozens of little moments has finally come to a head, or the boy down the street from you's finally decided to confess his crush after you've seen him pine for chapters on end. You can choose to ignore their requests and the story will go on, but more often than not, you've gotten to know the quest giver well enough that it feels like a friendly neighbor has asked for a hand. Accepting the side quest doesn't feel like adding a task to your video game list, it feels like an act of community building. Between the detailed lives you see every NPC lead and the kind of community building the game lets you be a part of, the world of Trails comes to feel like a lived-in home, not just a setting. Which means that when the stakes go up, when the characters notice more soldiers in the streets and the geopolitical machinations of the game stop being background noise, when each newspaper, all of which you can read, has a scarier headline than the last, you experience that fear with the community. You notice the second things start to change, often before you can even place what's different. You watch the home that you've built turn into a place where people are scared to go outside. You talk to your neighbors, hear their worries, and compare their observations with yours. And when it's finally time to confront the threat, it's not just about saving the world, it's also about saving the little girl next door and the stray cat she keeps feeding. Perhaps the clearest example of how this sense of community builds up and pays off is the Crossbell arc, which is a pair of games that gets you so invested in a single city, battling for its independence while caught up between rival superpowers, that the conflict feels intimate. You have gotten to know this city and its people so deeply that the ways this conflict affects them feel personal. You've gotten to know the good and the ugly in every district and every neighborhood. You know the mafia dons, and you know the school kids. Crossbell's struggle for independence is real and urgent because all of Crossbell's people are real to you. And you've become one of Crossbell's people too. This effect is only possible because of the time spent within the world of these games. It has an even greater effect if you commit to playing the full 13-game series. The post-game depression research specifically refers to the time spent playing games. Length of a video game does seem to correlate with players experiencing post-game depression.
We found that playing more is associated with a higher intensity of post-game depression. It is reasonable, as spending more time on video games may indicate a greater emotional involvement, which is a crucial factor preceding the experience of post-game depression.
Though the authors do propose an alternative explanation.
Players experiencing more intense post-game depression may intensify their playing as a means of coping with the current unpleasant state.
Outside of a research context, I think that these two phenomena are not contradictory and are instead two different manifestations of the emotional attachment that we can form within games. And the authors specifically call out how RPG players report worse post-game depression than players of other games.
Specific game-related experiences, such as involvement in deeply immersive, emotionally engaging, and story-driven games, are perceived by players as elevating their post-game depression. These findings were confirmed in our studies as players spending more time on RPGs, which are the most emotionally involving and focused on building an immersive identification between a player and a character, reported a higher intensity of post-game depression.
So the authors of this paper, or at least the players they studied, believe RPGs to be the most immersive kind of video game and therefore the most likely to lead to post-game depression. That certainly resonates with me. The games that have left me feeling the most empty when they were done were these long, emotionally impactful RPGs. I'm sure many of you have experienced this level of immersion in a game, and if you have, you gotta let me know in the comments what it was. But hey, one thing. What the hell do we mean by immersive? In Alan Kempton's 2015 thesis, the author reviews a variety of different approaches to the idea of immersion in virtual worlds. What Kempton makes of this review is a 4-level breakdown of connection to a virtual world, where the deeper the participant goes, the more of a connection they have to that world. The first level of connection Kempton just calls immersion. Quoting Janet Murray's Hamlet on the holodeck, Kempton describes immersion as
being surrounded by a completely other reality, similar to the idea of being submerged in water. This immersion sensation takes over all of our attention, our perceptual apparatus, and is a participatory activity.
You might think of this level of connection like a theme park ride, or maybe the digital production set The Volume, where you're surrounded by a digital environment on giant screens. The world has enveloped you, but you don't necessarily have any influence on that world. One level down from immersion is presence. Presence, Kempton says, is about perception.
Presence is a state where players feel as though they are present in the game itself, but not just in a sense of non-mediation, but as an active part of their environment.
This is more than being surrounded by or enveloped in a virtual world. It is taking action and seeing that action reacted to by the virtual world, creating a sense of presence within that world. The director of Esoteric Ebb has talked a lot about designing that game's world to react to as many player actions as possible, in order to invoke a feeling that the player is part of a living, breathing world. And I think what he's talking about is the perceptual state of presence. The next level deeper is parasocial interaction. On top of the physical or spatial sense of presence within a world, parasocial interaction adds on the social layers of video games. This includes in-game player-to-player relationships as well as player-to-NPC parasocial interactions. Kempton quotes Jenn and Park, who describe parasocial interaction as
users responding to representations of humans in a manner that is typical of any social relationship.
The deepest level of connection is aptly called persona, and I promise that's a complete coincidence. Persona is the deepest level of connection that Kempton describes, and it is the full identification with and lack of distinction between oneself and the avatar that inhabits the virtual world. While still obviously physically present in the real world, the player has inserted themselves into the virtual world and is operating within that world as themselves. Bartle describes this level of connection as
directly being there, not role-playing a being, you are a being, not assuming identity, you are that identity, no level of indirection, no filtering, no question, you are there.
This framework of connection is helpful for me to understand post-game depression, specifically with regard to how we experience the end of RPGs. These are often very long video games, and in the ones that have caused the most intense post-game depression for me, the spatial and social aspects have nearly fully transported me into their worlds. The deeper I go, the more connected I feel, the emptier that I'm going to feel when the game ends, and I am forcefully yanked back into the real world. Modern Persona games all end the same way. In 3, 4, and 5, one of the last things the games ask you to do is walk around the city and say goodbye to everyone you've gotten to know. It's a nostalgia tour through a place you've lived in for very likely several real-world months. Some of the people you encounter on this tour are going to be NPCs you've forgotten about in the last 60 to 100 hours of play. But a lot of them are going to be people you feel extremely fond of, strongly connected to. It's always a strange experience to see all of these characters out in the city at once. A few of them are typically standing in a place that they don't usually appear, and the tone of the game, the weather, and the music are typically much lighter than they were in the moment of narrative climax that directly precedes this final tour. The games walk you through this place one last time to say your final goodbyes. And then you must leave, and you, the player, must decide if you will ever return to this place. Do you play the game again? Do you play the DLC or maybe the definitive edition? Does your heart ache so much for this world you're leaving behind that you simply must return? Will this place even feel the same if you do come back? My post-game Persona 3 Reload related depression manifested as me devouring a bunch of Atlas and RGG games all in a row, making a custom Persona 3 themed Magic the Gathering deck, and spending over a full year writing a series of videos about post-game depression. And if you've already written a comment that I am missing something critical and ignoring the characters within these RPGs, then you're gonna love the next video in this series. The next video will be about the relationships we build with video game characters and the relationships they build between each other. Give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, and if you are still watching, you're definitely going to be into the video I just published on Patreon and Ko-Fi. Claire Obscure Expedition 33 is one of the most celebrated RPGs in years, and I think it takes you deep through every level of connection that we just talked about, and then yanks you out of those depths prematurely. It is $2 if you want to hear the whole thing. This is my full-time job, and I am currently trying to get to $200 a month across Patreon and Ko-Fi. Links are in the description to both, and I'll see you in the next video. All right, if you're still watching at the end here, I want to thank some people that helped make this video and this series possible. First, thank you so much, Lex, for co-writing this video and this series with me. And also thank you for your deep knowledge of the Trails series. You and I both know that section wouldn't have happened without you. I want to thank Phil, Lex, AJ Scout, and Steven for the voiceover help. I love getting to research this deeply for videos, and I love that we got to voice some of that stuff very distinctly and specifically in this video. And lastly, I want to thank War Effects, Faz, and Shinobu for some of the gameplay used in this video. I will see you so soon for the next video, and I do want to point out that all of the sources are linked in the description, including some of the academic sources that were used in research for this video. I'll catch you all next time.